The night was thick with heat and silence. As I stood at the edge of his door, my heart pounding in ways I could no longer ignore. I had told myself 1,000 times, this was wrong. This was dangerous. This would change everything. But still, I stood. There still. I knocked once, soft enough to turn back if he didn't hear, but loud enough to tempt fate. And when the door opened and his eyes found mine, everything else melted away. I didn't say a word I couldn't. I only stepped forward into his space, into his warmth, into something I never dared. Before his fingers brushed my arm, as if asking, "Are you sure?" And all I could do was breathe his name, just once, soft and aching, and full of everything I'd buried for too long. He pulled me, in slowly, like I was something delicate and forbidden, and I melted against him, my skin catching fire. Under the weight of his touch, his mouth hovered near mine, not kissing, not yet, just breathing me in. Like he had waited for this, like I had, like the world outside didn't exist anymore. And maybe it didn't. Maybe all that mattered was the way his hands slid down my back, the way he whispered, "I've wanted this too, and I couldn't take it anymore." I rose onto my toes and kissed him hungry, desperate tasting, every second of the risk I was taking, and it felt so good, so dangerous, so alive. He led me inside and the door clicked shut behind us, sealing the moment like a secret we'd never speak of. But never forget his lips moved over mine, and then lower trailing heat down my neck, my chest, his hands, unfastening what little I wore with slow purpose. Like he wanted to remember every inch, every reaction, and I let him. I let him explore every curve, every breath, every sound I couldn't hold back. And when he laid me down on the couch, his body hovering over mine, I saw something in his eyes, not just lust, but wonder. Like he couldn't believe I was really here, like he was afraid if he blinked I'd be gone. He kissed me again, deeper, harder, and I wrapped myself around him as if that would keep the moment from ending my legs around his waist, his name falling from my lips like a prayer or a promise. I didn't know the difference anymore. His mouth found every sensitive place. I never knew I had his touch making me arch and gasp and beg for more for everything, for what I was finally brave enough to want. And when he sank into me slowly, fully, I forgot everything, but the way we moved, the way it felt, to take a risk and finally feel alive. The morning came slow and golden, but I didn't move. I couldn't, not with his arms still draped across my waist, not with his breath warm against the back of my neck, not with the memory of the night still thrumming through every part of me. I had taken a risk, I had crossed a line, and instead of regret, all I felt was heat still lingering in my skin, in my chest, in the place where his name echoed, like a song I hadn't known I needed to hear. And when he stirred behind me, when his fingers traced lazy circles over my bare hip, I let myself sink back against him, eyes closed, breath caught as if time could hold still if I didn't move. His lips found my shoulder, and I felt him smile against my skin, like he knew, like he had waited for this moment, as long as I had, like all the tension, all the silence, all the what-ifs had finally burned away in one wild, reckless night, and I turned to face him needing more, needing to see if what I felt was real, if it had stayed through the dark, through the soft unraveling of everything I thought I knew. And when our eyes met again, something flickered between us, something hungry and sweet and terrifying. And I didn't run from it, not this time. He kissed me again. Not rushed, not rough, but slow and deep, like he wanted to savor me, like he wanted to know me inch by inch, and I let him, my body arching into his, my fingers sliding into his hair as I pulled him over me again, heat blooming all over as his mouth found my neck, my chest, my stomach, every place he had explored the night before, now worshipped like I was something sacred, something wild, something he couldn't get enough of. And when he pushed into me again, the stretch, the weight, the delicious fullness, I gasped and clung to him, lost again in that dizzy rush of want. Our bodies moved together, slick and perfect, and burning slow and hot and endless, as his name spilled from my lips again and again, and I rode the edge with him, my nails digging into his back, my breath, breaking my moans rising, until everything shattered, until I was trembling and raw, and pulsing around him as he groaned my name and gave himself over to the same wild need. We stayed like that, wrapped in sweat and heat and something too tender to name, and I knew this wasn't just a risk anymore. This was a turning point, a place I could never return from, because I had tasted something too real, too consuming, and no part of me wanted to pretend it hadn't happened. And when he looked at me after kissed my forehead, whispered "You're mine," like a vow in not a claim, I knew I would never be the same again. I had taken a risk, and what I found was more than heat, more than touch. It was a fire that burned through everything I used to be, until all that was left was this us now and whatever came next.